Amrutyuh sarvadriksimhaha sandhata sandhiman stiraha ajo durmarshana shasta vishrutatma surariha Śrīmad payoni dikhetana chakrapane bhogendra bhogamanirajita punyamurte yogisha shashvata sharanya bhavapti phota lakshmin nrsimha mamadehi karavalambham Mātān nrsimhascha pitān nrsimhaha Prātān nrsimhascha sakhan nrsimhaha Vidyān nrsimho dravidam nrsimha Lakshmin nrsimha mamadehi karavalambham. It is indeed a great blessing for all of us to assemble here today to relish a scintillating account on Nrsimha AvirbhAva as narrated by the illustrious Shukha to Parikshit in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Bhishmacharya celebrates the glorious Nrsimhavatara. Amrutyuhu sarvadriksimhaha sandhata sandhiman stiraha ajaha durmarshana shasta vishrutatma surariha. Amongst the several garlands of namas that Bhishmacharya stitched together, this is one which is so very special. This is so very special because Bhishmacharya celebrates the glorious Nrsimha Avatara. He says, hey Bhagavan, you are Amrutyuhu, the one who is beyond death and the one who makes us fearless and deathless. He is Amrutyuhu. He is Sarvadrik, the all-seeing, the one who oversees our journey, crossing over the ocean of samsara. He is Sarvadrik. Amrutyuhu Sarvadrik Simhaha. What a glorious nama for Bhagavan. Nrsimhavatara is special not only because he is Prahlada Varada. In every avatara, Bhagavan is referred to as Nrsimha. This is the speciality of Nrsimha Avatara. Whenever Bhagavan, the Sarvaloka Rakshaka, is referred to, in each and every avatara, he is referred to as Nrsimha. Pratat Vishnu Stavate Viriyaya Mrugona Bhima Kucharo Girishtaha Yasyotrishu Vikramaneshu Adikshayanti Bhuvanani Vishwa. The Vedas glorify Bhagavan, and in process of glorifying Vamana Avatara, they refer to Vamana as Simha Narasimha. Mahabahum Mahoraskam Simha Vikrantagaminam Nrsimham Samhasamkasham Aham Ramam Anuvrata. Sita Mata, while introducing herself to Ravana, she says, Nrsimham Simhasamkasham Aham Ramam Anuvrata. I am that follower, that pativrata of Rama who is Nrsimha, she says. Kalen Nrsimha Naraloka Manobhiramam. Rukmini Devi, when she calls out to Krishna, hey Krishna, you are my only protector. It is up to you now how you protect me. And what does she say? Kalen Nrsimha Loka Manobhiramam, she says. She calls Krishna as Nrsimha. Vamanamurti is Vamana Simha. Varahamurti is Varaha Simha. Rama is Raghava Simha. Krishna is Yadava Simha. All of them are special, but the most special is the Simha of all Simhas, Narasimha. Prahlada Varada Nrsimha. No wonder he is the Aradhya Devata of Yatisimha Ramanuja. He is the protective shield of Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada. He is the very prana of Madhvacharya. Nrsimha Avatara, therefore, is very, very special. Simhaha, Amrityuhu, Sarvadrik Simhaha, Sinchati Simhaha, Hinastiti Simhaha. Simhaha does not just mean a lion. Bhagavan is Vaikunta Kantirava. Swami Desikan refers to him as Vaikunta Kantirava, the lion of Vaikunta. Therefore, by nature he is a Simha. Lion is one meaning of Simha. Sinchati Simhaha, one who abundantly showers his grace. One who immerses in the abundance of his grace and blessings. He is Simhaha. Hinastiti Simhaha, one who obliterates every obstacle that comes in the way of his bhaktas. Every challenge, every obstacle that comes in the way of bhaktas, he effortlessly obliterates. That is the reason why he is Simhaha. Hinastiti Simhaha. Hinasti smaranamatrena iti Simhaha. Smaranamatrena. Just once, if we contemplate on the Nrsimha Nama, Sarva Papa Anitis Simhaha. Every Papa, all kinds of Papas are destroyed. Therefore, he is Simhaha. Hinasti smarana papena iti. Ajo Amrityuhu Sarvadrik Simhaha Sandhata. He is Sandhata. Nrsimha is Sandhata, one who unites his bhakta with him. Why he is so very reassuring to us? Because the onus of attaining him is with him, not with us. The one who unites his bhakta with him, he is Sandhata. The beauty of Nrsimha Avatara, Prahlada did not call out. Prahlada did not ask for Nrsimha to appear. Still, he appeared. He manifested then and there. Because he assumes the responsibility of uniting his bhakta with him. What else do we want? Sandhata Sandhiman. He not only unites his bhakta with him, he is Sandhiman. He is ever united with his bhakta. Whether we realize it or not, Nrsimha is united with us as our protective shield. We stay protected today because of this kavacha called Nrsimha. It is up to us to recognize this kavacha. It is up to us to recognize this shield that is constantly protecting us. He is Sandhiman. Sandhata Sandhiman. Sthiraha. Sthiratva. No, Sthiratva and us have nothing in common because we are asthira in all aspects and we can never be steadfast in anything that we do. But Bhagavan is eternally steadfast. His nature doesn't change. What is that nature that never changes? Is Rakshakatva. He is Sarvaloka Rakshaka. When we think of protection, it is Nrsimha who comes to our mind. He is the very epitome of protection. And this Rakshakatva of Bhagavan is referred to by his Nama Sthiraha. His eternal nature remains steady. Sandhata Sandhiman Sthiraha Ajaha. The unborn. The unborn keeps taking birth repeatedly in very different ways. And Nrsimha Avatara, he takes a very special birth. Now when we talk of Nrsimha Avatara, there are several questions that we have. How did he take birth? How did he appear? Why did he appear in the way he appeared? What is the reason for that unique form of his? Now, we have several questions that we want clarity. Now, Bhagavan is beyond our analysis. Now, we cannot analyze the infinite with our finite faculties, but still, Bhagavatam gives us such a scintillating account where we get answers to many of these questions. He is Ajaha. unborn, who appears, who manifests, who takes birth for the sake of Prahalada. He is Prahalada Varadha Nrsimha. Ajo Durmarshanaha, the unassailable, the one who cannot be conquered. Hiranyakashipu falsely believed that he is the one who is unconquerable. And eventually he met his match in Bhagavan, who is Durmarshanaha, the unassailable. He remained invisible, but he is always invincible. And he gave this invincibility to Prahalada, who remained invincible because of Nrsimha being with him all the time. He is Durmarshanaha, he is Shasta. Shasta, the best teacher. He is the best teacher because he teaches the fundamental truth. The fundamental truth is very simple. The fundamental truth, we are all in his shelter. He is the one who is sheltering us all the time. No, he repeatedly keeps conveying this to us, but unfortunately we don't get it, and we go seeking various kinds of shelters without knowing that we are already sheltered. Through Nrsimha Avatara, he teaches several vital lessons. He is Bhakta Vatsala. He is at the beck and call of his Bhakta. The Bhakta wants him, he is there. Even if the Bhakta doesn't call out, he is still there because he is there to do the needful for his Bhakta. Now, when we experience the glories of this supreme teacher, the Shasta, Nrsimha, that experience by itself becomes a great teacher for us. He is Shasta, Ajo Durmarshana Shasta, Vishrutatma. Vishrutatma. So, any number of times we can contemplate on Nrsimha Avatara. Every time we contemplate, we have horripilations all over. We are in awe. Hiranyakashipu was in shock. Prahalada was in awe. No, it's awe and shock treatment, But we are in awe. It's an awe-inspiring avatara. Vishrutatma, which evokes a sense of wonder in us. And we all know that this wonder is the very foundation for bhakti. To be in awe of Bhagavan is so very important for bhakti to blossom and grow within us. And Nrsimha Cheshtita, even though it lasted only for a few seconds, for an instant, an avatara that did not really prolong, but that fraction of time, that infinitesimal amount of time was enough to evoke for an infinite time to come a sense of wonder and awe in us. Therefore, he is Vishrutatma. Surariha. What a beautiful nama. Sura, Ari, Ha. Surariha can be broken down into three. Sura, Ari, Ha. Ha denotes destruction. Sura stands for everything that is virtuous. The Suras are the ones who are virtuous. Whether I am a Sura or Asura, we need to reflect on, depending on what is our sampat, what is our property. So immediately when I say what is our property, immediately we start looking at our bank accounts. No, whether we have Daivi sampat or Asuri sampat. The one who has Asuri sampat is an Asura. The one who has Daivi sampat, endowed with noble qualities, is a Sura. Sura Ari. Now, if there is a Sura, there has to be a Sura Ari. Sura Ari. Ari means enemy. Ari, not to be confused with Hari. Surari Ha, the one who destroys the enemies of all those who are virtuous. Internal enemies, external enemies. Now, Prahalada's message is very, very simple. Prahalada's message is, when our heart and our mind is filled with Srihari, when our heart and mind is filled with Srihari, we are not harried by any kind of Ari. And therefore Prahlada says, Hari, contemplate on Srihari so that you can get rid of every kind of Ari. Ari, by the way, means enemy. He is Surariha. Repeatedly, Nrsimha points us to one important remembrance that we need to constantly have within us. He stands with us, come what may. He elevates us when we do what is right, and we get eliminated when we do what is wrong. There is a difference. He elevates us. Those who do right, he elevates. Those who do wrong, they get eliminated. He doesn't eliminate. Elimination is a natural consequence of one's wrong deeds. The law of karma takes its own course. This is the reason why Nrsimha Avatara should remind us constantly of the role of divine justice. Nrsimha Avatara, he is the very epitome of divine fury, if we were to kind of coin a phrase, a divine fury. Bhagavan has to take the form of divine fury in order to count abominable atrocities. When atrocities rise, when wrongdoings become very grave, Bhagavan needs to counter that and ensure that there is divine justice. And this divine justice is unrelenting, absolute, and it will counter any kind of negative force, come what may. Bhagavan ensures that there is perfect harmony, come what may, in the universe. So his divine fury is such a glorious form of compassion on the one hand, and fury and severity on the other hand, coming together. Nobody else can balance and bring two things which are seemingly opposite. Nrsimha alone is a great example of what we can call aghatita ghatana samarthya. The samarthya to bring two seemingly opposite things, bring them together. Bhagavan alone can do that. He is awe-inspiring, he is intimidating at the same time. He is electrifying horripilations all over the body. When one sees him, he is also petrifying at the same time. He is divine, he is dreadful too. He is delightful, he is engaging in a destructive act at the same time. Aghatita ghatana samarthya. Nrsimha stands for the demonstration of this unique, beautiful relationship between transcendental love and divine anger. Anger, as we understand, unfortunately, is so very different. Our anger is an outcome of unfulfilled desires. Dhayato vishayan pumsakha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. All our anger is an outcome of unfulfilled desires. Bhagavan is satyakama, satya sankalpa. There is no unfulfilled desire for him. His anger is divine anger. It has nothing to do with what we define as anger. His anger is a culmination of divine justice. His anger is an outcome of his boundless love for his bhaktas. His anger is another form of compassion, which is a protective shield. It is a protective force that counters the forces of adharma and brings in harmony. Bhagavan's benevolent anger is a culmination of divine, it's like culmination of divine justice. It's like he gives a long rope. To everyone he gives a long rope, and whether that long rope given eventually becomes a noose around one's neck, it's up to the individual. But then his divine benevolent anger is a culmination of his intervention when it is needed to ensure that there is harmony and perfect order in this universe. That is the reason why Nrsimha is so very special. It is in the backdrop of a cosmic upheaval that his Avirbhava happens. And what was the cosmic upheaval that was going on? As we saw the last 2 weeks, Hiranyakashipu, consumed by tyranny, consumed by arrogance, consumed by hatred, Hiranyakashipu becomes a menace. He becomes a menace to the entire cosmos. He becomes a menace to all the devatas, to all kinds of living beings, to all the lokas. He holds every loka in his tyrannical grip. Critically, he becomes a menace to Bhagavatottama Prahlada, which is what is not acceptable to Bhagavan. Any apachara can be accepted by Bhagavan, but not a Bhagavata apachara. And Bhagavatottama apachara will be met with a force that is unimaginable. This is what Nrsimha demonstrates. Hiranyakashipu, when he gets the boons, he obtains the boons that gives him immunity. He wants immortality, Brahma gives him immunity. Immunity from death in the hands of men, animals, devatas. Essentially, he gets immunity that he will not die. He will not die by weapons. He will not die in the hands of any kind of living beings, anyone created by Brahma, anyone not created by Brahma too. Unfortunately, Hiranyakashipu did not understand that Bhagavan Jagat Karana is the Karana of Karana, is Akila Karana, is Adbhuta Karana, is Nish Karana. So therefore, when Hiranyakashipu thinks he can get away by saying no one else other than even those created by Brahma, he did not understand, because of his ignorance, that Narayana is Nishkarana, he is Akila Karana, he is Adbhuta Karana. He gets these boons, neither inside nor outside, neither in the sky nor on the ground, neither by a living nor by a non-living entity. No. He goes on and gets a stack of boons by which he almost thought he has conquered death, without realizing that he, like every other mortal, is also being pushed towards his own destination of death. So, assuming false immortality, Hiranyakashipu creates havoc and he starts to rule in a very adharmic way. Yajnas, yagas, all kinds of worship, all come to a standstill. People of nobility are eliminated. Adharma is exponentially on the rise. And it is in this context, it is then that Prahlada takes birth. A Bhagavatottama. It is Vichitra Ishvara Sankalpa to one who is a Nastika, the one who is a very embodiment of evil. He gets a son who is a supreme Bhakta, Prahlada, Bhagavatottama. And one may wonder, how did Prahlada acquire this Brahmagyana? Because right from the time when he was a little child, Prahlada not only demonstrated the characteristics of a supreme Bhakta, he also was teaching Brahmagyana to one and all. To understand how Prahlada was a Brahmagyani, a supreme Vishnu Bhakta, right from the time of birth, we need to see what happened, what ensued when Hiranyakashipu went to Mandarachala to perform austerities to seek the boons from Brahma. As Hiranyakashipu proceeds to Mandarachala, the scene shifts back to his kingdom and all the devatas led by Indra take this opportunity to attack his kingdom, his palace. Hiranyakashipu's palace is plundered. All the devatas capture all the Rakshasas and Kayadhu Hiranyakashipu's wife, is also captured in the process. And it is at that time she is pregnant with a child. Luckily for Indra, Narada's wise counsel prevails. Narada foresees the birth of the supreme Bhakta. He sees how Kayadu is so very blessed to carry in her womb that supreme Vishnu Bhakta. And therefore Narada advises Hiranyakashipu not to go ahead with his plan of capturing Kayadu. And Narada then escorts Kayadu all the way to his ashrama and gives her refuge. And Kayadu decides to spend the entire time there. Hiranyakashipu is performing severe austerities, tamasic austerities. And here Kayadu is immersed in sattva. Narada takes that opportunity to start instructing Kayadu. And in the process of instructing Kayadu, Narada also realizes that there is a greater listener inside Kayadu. It seems the lectures, the discourse of Narada went on for days and nights. Kayadu would sleep, but the child within Kayadu would be always awake, listening and responding to Narada as Narada taught Brahmajnana. Arthapanchaka jnana praptasya brahmano rupam praptuscha pratyagatmanaha praptipayam palanchaiva tatha prapti virodhicha brahmaswarupam swaswarupam phalaswarupam upayaswarupam virodhiswarupam. All kinds of knowledge were imparted to Prahlada, and Prahlada as a child was absorbing, like sponge absorbs water. He was absorbing every word of Narada, internalizing every word of how blessed Prahlada was, that his prayers began, his sadhana began right in the womb of his mother. And thus, Prahlada, when he was born, he became Bhakta Prahlada right from the first day of his birth. Narada, Shuka recounts, Narada gives him the very essence of what is Dharma. He addresses Kayadu, and in that process he is addressing Prahlada. He says, what is the supreme Dharma? Towards the end of his teachings, Narada declares, this is something which keeps ringing constantly in Prahlada's mind all the time. Tasmad arthascha kamascha dharmascha yat apashrayaha bhajata anihiyatman aniham harim ishwaram. Dharma, artha, kama, any activity that we do with any purpose in this world, everything is dependent on his will. Srihari is one who orchestrates everything. Whether you need dharma, whether you need artha, whether you need kama, unless and until your individual will aligns with his will, there can be no success. And therefore, the purpose of your life, hey Prahlada, your supreme dharma is bhajata harim ishwaram. This is what in Naimisharanya the sages also declare: causeless and ceaseless bhakti. Ahaituki apratihata. Bhakti has to be done to Bhagavan. This is the supreme dharma. But what is the nature of bhakti? Ahaituki, causeless bhakti. Bhakti not as a transaction. Bhakti as not business. Bhakti for the sake of bhakti. Bhakti for the sake of Bhagavan's mukhollasa. Causeless, ceaseless, constant contemplation. And therefore, Narada gives bhajata. Hey Prahlada, bhajata harim ishwaram. Constantly worship Bhagavan in all possible ways. And this is the supreme dharma. Therefore, Prahlada takes birth with this supreme jnana, and as he grows, to Hiranyakashipu's distaste, to his shock and bewilderment, he sees under him, he thinks poisonous weeds growing. Unfortunately, he doesn't recognize that he is a tree of poison and there are seeds of amrita, Bhagavad Bhaktyamrita, which is growing under him. He doesn't recognize that. Repeated attempts are made to indoctrinate Prahlada. Shanda and Amarka, the two sons of Shukracharya, are given this task of indoctrination. Teach him the right syllabus. Always, whenever I ask him any question, his answer is out of syllabus all the time. It has to be as per my syllabus. And teach him how to make money. Teach him how to enjoy all the pleasures of the world. Teach him how I am the supreme ruler. And eventually he can become the supreme ruler too, all by himself. Chanda and Amarka try repeatedly to indoctrinate, to corrupt Prahlada's mind. But Prahlada's mind has no room for any poison. A mind and a heart which is filled with Krishna, there is no room for any poison to enter. Prahlada is steadfast. He is unmoved. Attempts after attempt. And after one such indoctrination session, Prahlada comes back from Gurukula. And then Hiranyakashipu is very eager to find out if there is even any change in Prahlada's mindset. Prahlada is asked to come, and then very gently, very affectionately, Hiranyakashipu takes Prahlada and places him on his lap. And then he gently asks him, "Hey Prahlada, what is the greatest learning? Who is the most learned person?" Prahlada simply answers, "Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Mandanam Shakyam Dasyam Atmanivedanam." This is the highest learning, and the one who practices this is the most learned. Immediately Hiranyakashipu throws Prahlada from his lap. He was sitting on a throne, and this little child, his own very son, such was Hiranyakashipu's hatred, seeped in hatred, consumed by hatred, consumed by jealousy. Hiranyakashipu throws Prahlada away without even thinking of whether his own son would get hurt. There begins a journey of torture for Prahlada. Prahlada is tortured. Hiranyakashipu gives a complete mandate to the Rakshasas to ensure, come what may, Prahlada has to change. And it is that phase where Prahlada goes through the most difficult times. All of us think of difficulties that befall on us from time to time in our life and living. If we look at the difficulties that Prahlada underwent and the way that he withstood those difficulties, it gives us a great lesson on how we can remain steadfast, connected with Narayana all throughout. Prahlada's body was pierced with tridents. Different Rakshasas brought different kinds of weapons and started piercing him all over, torturing him. The reason why I'm listing this, we will come back again to this in a different way later. Prahlada was put to torture with various kinds of weapons, piercing him all over the body. But Prahlada remained calm, composed, unshaken. His unwavering bhakti ensured that he was protected all throughout. He was then dragged and he was thrown at the feet of massive elephants. But even massive elephants could not trample him. He came out unscathed. Prahlada was then exposed to fire. He was thrown into fire, and Prahlada came out. He came out without even a scar on his body because he was protected by Nrsimha Kavacha. Hiranyakashipu was aghast. The Rakshasas were bewildered. They did not know what was going on. The most poisonous of snakes in the kingdom were brought, and to those snakes Prahlada was bitten and poisoned. But no amount of poison could do anything to Prahlada. Prahlada was then taken on top of a mountain and he was thrown right from above, atop the mountain, and he was saved by Sri Mahalakshmi. Nothing could happen. I'm listing each of this because we will come back again. When there is payback happening, we will see all of this, how Hiranyakashipu, karma would come back and strike him. Prahlada was tortured, attempts to kill him, eliminate him. By who? his own father Hiranyakashipu. Such was the venom, such was the poison in Hiranyakashipu's mind. This went on, but still Prahalada remained serene, remained steadfast, remained a Vishnu Bhakta. Hiranyakashipu decided to give one last chance to Prahalada. He once again summoned Shukracharya's sons, Shanda and Amarka, and said, not only to Prahalada, I am giving you also a last chance. He threatened them too. You better do something. Next time when you bring him back, I want him to be changed. And then Prahalada is once again taken away to the Gurukula. And this time, something different happens. Until then, Prahalada was only listening to what Chanda and Amarka were teaching him without being affected by their teachings. Now, Prahalada takes the opportunity to start teaching his fellow students, including Chanda and Amarka. Prahalada now transforms into the Guru. And Shuka wonderfully narrates Prahalada's teachings are the very essence of the Vedantas. Prahalada teaches. He looks at Chanda, Amarka, and all the Rakshasas around him, his fellow students, and he starts to teach them. And he has a sense of pity for them. Prahalada, the Bhakta, is so very compassionate. He is unable to bear the fact that all his fellow students were seeped in ajnana, in ignorance. Therefore, he declares, Kaumara acharet prajnaha dharman bhagavataniha durlabham manusham janma tadapi adruvam artadham. He looks all around. He says, you possibly do not understand how durlabha this manusha janma is. It is a great opportunity that we get to take birth as human beings. We don't realize this great opportunity. This great opportunity is being given to us for only one reason. And unfortunately, we forget to recognize that reason, that purpose. This Manusha Janma is Durlabha and it is Adruvam and Artadam, he says. Adruvam. It is transitory, fleeting. If we don't grab the opportunity now, it will be gone soon because it will not stay forever. The body will soon perish. The body will start decaying very soon. Seize the opportunity when you are completely fit. So what Prahalada is going to teach to his fellow Rakshasa students is so very applicable to all of us. So Prahalada's teachings are so very striking, so very blunt. The little boy is giving the message in such a powerful, profound way that it's so very hitting. He talks about how this Janma is so very fleeting. Things will pass very soon. You will not have this opportunity for long. Seize it right now. Let me also tell you, it is Adruvam, it is also Artadham, he says. You can make it meaningful. It is up to you to make this life meaningful. Because the big problem, the biggest challenge for all of us is we don't understand the meaning of life itself. We don't even contemplate, we don't even ask this question. It seems Bhagavan was asked this question. Hey Bhagavan, what amuses you most about humankind? Bhagavan, it seems, laughed. When this question was asked, what really amuses you about humankind? Bhagavan laughed and he said, you know what? That all these people, all these humans, they get bored with childhood and they want to rush, they are rushing to grow into adults, and then after growing to adults, they are longing to become children again. These humans, they lose their health to make wealth, and then they are desperately trying to restore their health by losing their wealth when it is too late. That these humans are always thinking about the future, they never live in the present, neither in the present nor in the future. Then they live as though they will never die, and as they die as though they never lived. Adruvam Arthadham. You have to extract the meaning out of life. Prahlada is giving such a very, very important life. He says, how do I extract that meaning out of life? He says, Yatahi purushasya eha Vishnoho padopasarpanam Yadesha sarvabhutanam Priya Atmeshwara Suhrut. That Atmeshwara Suhrut, the most benevolent, the most beloved. This combination again is very rare. One who is beloved may not be benevolent. One who is benevolent may not be beloved. Bhagavan Vishnu is both things together. And therefore, take his shelter. Take shelter of Vishnu. You can extract the meaning. Prahlada says, understand this life is a test of taste. No, unfortunately, we all have taste for everything material. This life is a test of taste. This test can be only passed if we start cultivating spiritual taste. If our taste is only for everything that is material, everything that is for sense gratification, we will repeatedly fail in this test. Repeatedly we will take this test, repeatedly we will fail. Therefore, the purpose of life is to cultivate a taste for Bhagavan, to cultivate Vishnu Bhakti, taste for Krishna. And when one cultivates this taste, one will pass out this test with flying colors. So therefore, realize that you do not have too much time. He's looking at all the young boys out there, and he's also looking at Shanda and Amarka who are little old. He's looking at them saying, you are already running out of time. And therefore, please immediately do the following, he says. Tat prayaso na kartavyaha yata ayurvyayam param na tata vindate kshemam mukunda charanam bhujam. So Prahlada, even though he is a little child, every word that he speaks, every statement that he makes is so very profound, so very pregnant with the Vedantic truths. He says, Tat prayaso na kartavyaha yata ayurvyaya param. Every action that you do for sense gratification, realize that you're wasting time. Every endeavor, every work that you do, every action that you do for bodily gratification, for your material needs. Material needs are like painkillers. But you need the curative medicine to cure the disease of samsara. You need to fulfill your spiritual needs. Therefore, every action, he says, Yata ayurvyaya param. Don't waste the ayu that is given. Bhagavan has blessed each and every one with enough ayu, and therefore every moment spent on chasing, pursuing sense gratification is a moment wasted. He says, Natatha vindate kshemam mukunda charanam bhujam. Not only that, not only it is a waste of time, it also becomes an obstacle that keeps growing and growing and growing, obstacle between me and Mukunda Charanas. The more I spend time away from him, it's like, high jump. Early days, the height is easy to manage. We can easily jump. As the days go by, as the real years roll by, the height keeps increasing and increasing and increasing. There comes a time it becomes impossible. That is the reason why children should start coming to satsang when they are young, when they can when the heights are very less, easily they can jump. Prahlada is saying, Mukunda natata vindate kshemam. One who has fallen in the whirlpool of samsara. He says, unfortunately, everyone is in the whirlpool of samsara, revolving, and they mistakenly think that they are in a jacuzzi. Trying to enjoy. It's actually a whirlpool sucking them deeper and deeper. Mistakenly thinking, oh, I'm having a good time in a jacuzzi. The moment you realize it is not a jacuzzi, it is a whirlpool, you better get out as early as you can. Before your hands and your legs and all your body organs, your mind and your intellect can help you get out of the whirlpool, you must get out. Natatha vindate kshemam mukunda charanam bhujam. And then Prahlada talks about the importance of time. So very striking here. He says, he looks at all the fellow Rakshasa students and Chanda and Amarka. He says, Humsaha varshasatam ayuhu tadardham chajitatmanaha nishpalam yadasau ratriam shetendham prapitashtamaha. You must realize that Bhagavan, out of compassion, has given all of us enough ayu. He has given us 100 years to live. He has given us enough ayu. 100 years. There is so much that we can do with 100 years, isn't it? Immediately everybody out there is saying, wow, 100 years Bhagavan has given us, so therefore there is so much that we can do. Immediately he says, tadardam chajitatmanaha nishpalam yatasau ratriyam shetendham prapitastamah. Out of the 100 years, realize that 50% of that one spends immersed in tamas, sleep and other sleep related activities. So take 100 years now. He says, take all your calculators and start calculating 100 years minus 50%. 50% gone with all tamasic activities, including sleep, majority of the time. What you have is not 100 years. You have only 50 years. Then everybody says, yes, we have 50 years. Immediately he says, wait, I have not completed. Mugdhasya balye kaishore kridato yati vimshatihi. He says, Mugdhasya balye kaishore kridato. Now you have 50 years. Of these 50 years, Mugdhasya balye, 10 years as an infant, not knowing anything, you are not on your own, you need all kinds of help, you are not on your own at all, you are also ignorant at the time, and therefore that 10 years also gone. Okay, 50 minus 10, I have 40 more years. Kaishorye kridato yati vimsadihi. And then you have to take out another 10 years in boyhood, engaged in all kinds of playful activities without really realizing what they are engaged with. So therefore, you have to remove another 10 years. Now everybody is seriously calculating now. 50 gone, and then 10 gone, another 10 gone, 70 gone. Okay, we have 30. 30 is still a good number. 30 is still a good number. Prabhupada says, no, I have not completed yet. Don't finish your calculation, he says. He says, let me continue. You think you have 30? Now let me give you another striking truth. He says, Jaraya grasta dehasya yati akalpasya vimshatihi. He says, the last 20 years of your life, please discount it straight away. Because when you need, the body will not respond. The mind will not respond. Your intelligence will not respond. And the body will be subject to decay, whether you like it or not. And therefore, old age, when it creeps up, it is impossible for you to engage in activities that you would want to engage with. Therefore, 20 years of old age, he says, discount. Now you're talking about the scale of 100, right? So between 80 and 90, now we need to recalibrate it now with a reduced ayu, right? So in any way, it's assuming 100 years now, 50 gone, 10 gone, 10 gone, another 20 gone. They say, we don't need calculator anymore. No, what is remaining is only 10. Okay, at least we have 10. Wait, I have not completed. Durapurena kamena mohena chabaliyasa sesham griheshu saktasya pramattasya payatihi. Durapure. Of the remaining 10 years, you are chasing goalposts which doesn't remain constant at all. In process of fulfilling all your worldly desires, constantly chasing the goalpost. You're like running a race. Every time you think you are at the finishing line, you realize that it is not the finishing line, it is another starting line. A finishing line becomes a starting line becomes a finishing line, goes on and on and on and on. How much ever one accumulates, one remains so very incomplete, so very disgruntled, so very discontent. He says, another 10 years also gone. Everybody is scrambling around. So another minus 10, 0. There is nothing. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Prahlada, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Recognize the value of time, Prahlada says. If one does not recognize the value of time, it is just a matter of time when time is going to snatch everything away, which will be too late. Prahlada is, all the Rakshasas there were actually inflicting bodily pain on Prahlada. Now Prahlada is inflicting mental pain on them. Basically talking about stark truths. By saying something profound now, all of them are now alarmed. They are all aghast. They do not know how to even respond. There is no answer to this. He has just spoken bare truth as everybody can see it. And therefore, while everyone is now really worried, now they are really looking for answer to Prahlada. Prahlada, it is important that you raise the problem, but you also have to give us the solution. Immediately Prahlada says, Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu dayam kurta sauhridam bhavamasura unmicha yaya tushtati adhokshaja. So therefore, anything that you do in life, there is only one benchmark that you need to work against. Is this pleasing Achyuta? Is this pleasing Narayana? Is this pleasing Vamana? Is this pleasing Keshava? Is this pleasing Madhusudana? Is it pleasing Narayana? As long as the answer is yes to it, everything that is being done is perfectly being done. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. He says, Dayam Kruta Sauhridam. You need to, essentially, he's giving an example of the Asurik Sampad here. The Asurik Sampad reflects in when somebody starts asking this question, why should I worship him? Why should I surrender to him? Why should I serve him? No, I can enjoy this world on my own. No, this is very Asuric in nature. All the enjoyments belong to me without realizing that we are not independent enjoyers. Bhagavan is the supreme enjoyer. He is the bhokta. We are all cooperative enjoyers. We can enjoy in cooperation with him, together with him. Without him, there is no enjoyment. Asuric way of looking at the world is this world is to be enjoyed by me alone, and I will do it at any cost. So therefore, Prahlada says, shun this Asuric way of life and living. Dayam kuruta sauhridam bhavam asuram unmichya yaya tushyati adhokshaja. He refers to Nrsimha here as adhokshaja. Bhagavan has a wonderful nama, adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means one who is beyond the perception of our senses. The right nama for all the Rakshasas there. For many who question, I cannot see him, therefore why should I believe him? You should believe him because you cannot see him, because you cannot see him. He is adhokshaja. One needs the eye of knowledge in order to see him. If we start looking at the infinite with finite filters, we definitely cannot understand the infinite. He remains adhokshaja to everyone who is blinded and who have no eyes of knowledge. It is jnana chakshusha is a prerequisite to see him, to experience him. Therefore, here Prahlada is looking at all the Rakshasas and says, remember, he is adhokshaja, but the moment you lead your lives constantly pleasing him all the time, sooner or later, he will start revealing himself to you. The revelation will happen from his side, even without you asking, without you seeking. Bhagavan, after all, is someone who loves us the most. And therefore, as the one who loves us the most, he himself will reveal and we will start to know him and experience him. Therefore, my simple recommendation to you is transform the way you are living today. Start to accumulate sampad. Immediately everybody says, yes, not asuri sampad, daivi sampad. The more you accumulate virtues, the more successful in life you will become. And he says, manyetadetat akilam nigamasya satyam swatmarpanam sasuhridaha paramapsya pumsaha. He gives a call of action to all the Rakshasas, all the fellow students. Please come with me. Let's go and surrender to the lotus feet of Narayana right away. Because he knows how everybody's mind is. After listening to all this, they will say, let me think about it. After all the session, let's go surrender. He says, can you give me a couple of days? Maybe I need to find out if it is feasible right now. Maybe I'm busy. Let me think about it. Prahlada doesn't give any opportunity for the mind to change. The mind is so very fickle. While it is almost seems to be amenable, immediately catch it and make it surrender. Therefore he says, manyetad akilam nigamasya. This is what all the nigama, all the Vedas declare. Just go and surrender to him. Transformation will automatically happen. All the Rakshasa children or the fellow students are so very happy. But here Chanda and Amarka are trembling with fear. Now they don't know what's going to happen to them, and the day has come for them to take Prahlada back to the court of Hiranyakashipu. Now, but they have no choice. They have to take Prahlada, and then as they go, they are all, both of them are trembling with fear, and Hiranyakashipu is waiting with bated breath in anticipation that Prahlada is going to come a changed person. And as Prahlada once again comes, Hiranyakashipu learns whatever he's been already briefed that all this has been happening, and Prahlada, instead of being taught, has now become the teacher. So Hiranyakashipu decides now there is nothing else that can be done to change this impudent boy. When Prahlada comes, Hiranyakashipu immediately challenges him. You are so impudent, so disobedient, you are a madman. He says, Prahlada says, yes, I am mad in love with my Srihari, he says. Can you tell me, how come you are so fearless? Everybody else in all the lokas, across the Brahmanda, they shiver, they shudder the moment that I tell them anything, but you seem to be calm, composed, steady. You seem to be completely fearless. Who is giving you this strength? Who is that fool who is giving you this strength? Hiranyakashipu thunders. Prahlada, in his calm and composed state, he looks at Hiranyakashipu and he says, Na kevalam me bhavatascha rajan savai balam balinam chaparesham parevare me stirajangame ye brahmadayo ye na vasham pranitaha. He says, Hiranyakashipu, you are asking me who gave me the strength? Let me tell you, the one who has given you the strength to ask me this question is the one who gave me the strength to give you the answer. He is the one who is the source of all strengths. He is the one who gives the strength to everything living and non-living, everything right from Brahma down to a blade of grass. It is He who activates them, motivates them. He is the one who is the source of all this strength. Therefore, recognize that there is an all-pervading strength, the one who is the source of all sources. And he continues to say, hey Hiranyakashipu, listen to this truth. Sa Ishwarah Kala Urukramosa Ojasah Sattva Balendriyatma Sa Eva Vishwam Paramasva Shaktibihi Srijati Avatyatti Gunetrayashayaha Srijati Avati Atti. You must know that why I am meditating on Narayana all the time. Karanam tu dhyeyaha shastras say. Somebody yesterday was asking me this question. Why should one meditate on Krishna? The answer is very simple. Karanam tu dhyeyaha. You contemplate on one who is the cause of all causes. You contemplate on one who is the source of all sources. You contemplate on one who is the source of all your resources. The cause of causes is the one you have to do dhyana on. So therefore it is quite natural to do dhyana on Bhagavan Vishnu, and because he is the one who is the strength. He is the strength giver for all the senses, strength giver of the mind, of the intellect, of the body. Everything is functioning only because of him. And he says, Sa eva vishwam paramasva sakti bihi. This entire Brahmanda and all the Brahmandas are being orchestrated by him. Ayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivattate. Krishna declares, it is he who effortlessly runs the affairs of all this universe. Srijati, Avati, Atti. He is the cause of creation. He is the cause of maintenance. He is the cause of dissolution. He is the one who controls this Prakriti, this Maya, which is made of the three gunas. He is the one who runs everything, governs everything. He is the supreme controller. And he says, Sa Ishwaraha, Kalaha, Urukramaha, he says. He is Urukramaha, referring to Trivikrama Avatara, also saying he is all-pervading. He is telling Hiranyakashipu. Prahlada is saying, wherever I am, he is with me. He is all-pervading. So I don't need to be worried at all, because he is protecting me wherever I am. He is all-pervading. And he looks at Hiranyakashipu, he says, Sa Ishwaraha Kalaha. He is Kala, he says. Hiranyakashipu, remember, even time is controlled by him. You, I, everybody else are forced by time. We are all forced by time. We are all pushed towards our own destinations, and we have no choice whatsoever. Recognize the time can be a great teacher from whom we can learn, or we also get burned. It can be a fire in which we all can burn. There are only two choices. Time can be a great teacher from whom we can learn, or it can be a fire in which we can burn. Hiranyakashipu, do you want to learn or burn? The choice is simply yours. Prahlada puts up a very, very confident, courageous stance. Hiranyakashipu is completely aghast. He says, he looks at Prahlada. He says, Yes tvaya mandabhagyokto. Hey mandabhago. Mandabhaga, one who is ignorant, one who is a fool. You are a fool. You are impudent. Hey Prahlada, what kind of a fool are you? He says, Madanyo Jagadishwaraha. I thought I am the supreme ruler. Who is this other ruler you're talking about? I don't see anybody here. I am very much right in front of you, and I declare I am the supreme ruler. Where is the other ruler? Where is the other Ishvara you're talking of? Madanyo Jagadishwaraha. Kvasau yadisa sarvatra. Kasmat stambhena drishyate. Avirbhava is about to happen. Now Hiranyakashipu is sitting in his palace. It's an ornate palace. Massive palace. He is on top of a throne, and everywhere all around there are hundreds of pillars supporting the very, very tall roof out there. And Hiranyakashipu is looking at Prahlada and saying, Hey Mandabuddhi, who is this supreme Ishvara that you are talking about? When I am here, I don't see anybody. And he looks around. I don't see him in any of these pillars. Immediately there is a cue being given to Bhagavan. Bhagavan says, Hiranyakashipu is now saying in any of these pillars, he says, now he is giving me a challenge. Which pillar he is going to point to? It seems Bhagavan immediately decided that he will be present in every pillar across the palace of Hiranyakashipu, waiting for the next step that Hiranyakashipu is going to take. Prahlada is undeterred. Prahlada is calm, cool, composed. He is not calling out at all. Bhagavan is worried. It's like when a child is on the road, on a road filled with traffic. The mother will be aghast. The mother will be worried. The child will be blissfully standing there. It's like Bhagavan, it seems, is worried for his bhakta now. And as Hiranyakasmat stambhena drishyate, when he says stambhena drishyate, there are hundreds of pillars there. Immediately, how blessed all the pillars of Hiranyakashipu's palace were, because each and every pillar was filled with Bhagavan out there. And then immediately Hiranyakashipu, standing from his throne, he looks at Prahlada. He's on top, Prahlada is standing in the bottom. And then he says, Soham vikattamanasya shirah dharamite gopayeta haristwadya yaste sharanamipsitam. He says, Soham. He says, I am the all in all here. Who are you to say there is somebody else who is greater than me? I am the all in all. Vikattamanasya. Hey Prahlada, you are boasting about some protector. You say he is all pervading. He says he is the protector of all protectors. I don't see anybody out here. It is just you are boasting. I don't accept this. I am all in all, and I am going to punish you now. Chirakaya dharamite. He says, I am going to sever the body, cut your head away from your body. Bhagavan is taking a note. Bhagavan also takes very good notes. Whether we realize it or not, he keeps taking all the notes. The notes are now running into multiple pages. Right from the time the torture of Prahlada started, he is taking copious notes. He is writing his notes. Now, he says, Shirakaya dharamite, I will cut your head off, he says. Bhagavan immediately makes a note there. And he says, Gopayeta haristwadya yaste sharanamipsitam. You keep saying that Srihari is your shelter. You have surrendered to him. He will come protecting you. Let me see how he will protect you. I am going to come down, and with the sword in his hand, he says, I am going to cut your head off. Now, there are two very important statements here that Hiranyakashipu makes. With Bhagavan is faithfully taking note, in this accounting system. Bhagavan always has multiple columns, and he dutifully makes a note. We will come back to what Hiranyakashipu said at an appropriate time. Shiraha kayad haramite gopayeta haristwadya. Basically what he's saying, I will cut your head off, and gopayeta, let him protect who? That Srihari, that haristwadya, the one who now you are seeking protection. Let me see how he's going to protect you. Make a note of these two lines. Shirakaya dharamite gopayeta haristwadya. And then he continues, obsessed with hatred. Now, Hiranyakashipu is hissing like a cobra. Not just an ordinary cobra, a cobra which is trampled by somebody. So he's hissing like a cobra, an injured cobra. Venom oozing out of him, obsessed with hatred, consumed by abominable anger. This Asura now is heading towards Prahlada. Evam duruktair muhuradayan rushaha sutam maha bhagavatam mahasuraha. Who is he heading towards? The Supreme Bhagavata, Bhagavatottama Prahlada. Khadgam prahya utpatito varasanat. Standing away from his throne, he is rushing down, carrying khadga, a sword. He is ready now to sever Prahlada's head. Now, before severing Prahlada's head, Hiranyakashipu does something. As he is rushing towards Prahlada, Prahlada is standing. Next to Prahlada is a massive pillar out there, and Hiranyakashipu with his sword in his hand is rushing towards them. And immediately Shuka says, Stambham thadada atibalasva mushtina. Stambham thadada atibalasva mushtina. He strikes the stambha there with his fist of immense strength. Gajjantam, gajjayantam, nijapuchapatalam, spotayantam, hadantam, rupayantam, tapayantam, divibibidijam, kshepayantam, kshipantam, kandantam, roshayantam, dishi dishi satatam samharantam, bharantam, vikshantam, ghurnayantam, karanikaраsadaya divya simhaha. There immediately there is a loud gajjana. It's a sound that Hiranyakashipu or anybody across the Brahmanda have never heard of. And it is an awe-inspiring vision there. Before the vision, there is something very interesting happens. The avatara is so very unique. There is a suddenness of occurrence here. Nobody expected this. Not even Prahlada, not even Hiranyakashipu, not even Brahma, not even all the devatas who are witnessing this. Nobody expected Nrsimha's Avirbhava to happen right there, right at the time. Tadaiva tasmin nanado atibhishanaha babhuvayenanda kataham asputat yammaispadishnya upakadam tvajadaya shuttvasa dhamatyayam angamenire. The entire Brahmanda started shaking. It seems there was a roar that was never heard of. There was a sound that was never heard of. Apurvam adbhutam. Now, some commentators say they heard the roar of a lion. It cannot be the roar of an ordinary lion. It is the Vaikunta Kantirava, the lion from Vaikunta. He is roaring. Why? It is Apurva, never heard of before. Hiranyakashipu would have heard hundreds of lions roar. But this roar is Apurva. It sends a shudder in his spine. He starts to tremble. Even before having the vision, just the sound alone was enough to send that shudder throughout his body. Hiranyakashipu starts to tremble, to shake, just by listening to that sound. Apurvam, adbhutam, ati adbhutam, wonder of wonders. Here it is Tadaiva tasmin ninado atibhishanaha. Tadaiva, then and there. Now, there cannot be even a nanosecond difference. Because why? Bhagavan wanted to ensure that even for a moment, Hiranyakashipu should not believe that Bhagavan is not present there. It may take time for him to emerge from the pillar, but the beauty here is the sound comes first. But the sound is so very purifying, so very reforming. So that is the reason why Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyaha, Drashtavyaha. Before the vision, the sound comes. This sound can be purifying to some, can be terrifying to others. It is purifying to Prahlada, because Prahlada now is going to get that vision of all visions. He is going to see Nrsimha, and he is going through that process of purification. This roar, this sound is so very purifying that that purification helps one to have that divine vision, that Adbhuta Simha. And on the other hand, the same sound is terrifying Hiranyakashipu. And here, Hiranyakashipu listens to that wonder of wonders, awe-inspiring sound. Immediately, Shuka records here, he says, Satyam vidhatum nijabhritya bhashitam. Satyam vidhatum nijabhritya bhashitam. So this is the greatest assurance that Bhagavan gives us. Why Nrsimha Avatara is so very important for us? Because of this one statement. So this one statement is so very reassuring to all of us. Satyam vidhatum nija bhritya bhashitam. He always ensures that the word of his bhakta is protected. Nija bhritya bhashitam. Bhritya means servant. His bhakta. The beauty here is Nrsimha ensured that not only Prahalada's word. What did Prahalada say? Narayana is everywhere. And therefore, you can go. And he ensured that that word of Prahalada is protected. At the same time, another bhakta of his gave boons freely, a list of boons without even thinking twice. Now even that bhakta also has, his word also has to be protected. Brahma's boons also have to be taken care of, cannot be broken. Prahalada's word also has to be not broken. Therefore, Nrsimha is Satyam Vidhatum Nijabritya Bhashitam Vyaptim cha bhuteshu akileshu chatmanaha. Vyaptim cha bhuteshu akilesha. The one who is all pervading, he takes several beautiful forms. Sahasra bhaskaras purat prabhakshadur nirikshanam. In the Nrsimha AvirbhAva stotra, it is said, Sahasra bhaskaras purat prabhakshadur nirikshanam. Thousands of suns put together, even when they come, they cannot be compared to the resplendence of Nrsimha. Prabhagna krura kridhiranya kashyaporurastalam. Ajasrujanda karpara prabhagna dhaurdra gajjana. Udagra nigrahagra hogra vigraha kritim bhaje. Udagra nigrahagra hogra vigraha kritim bhaje. Nrsimha's vigraha, the murti, is being described. Udagra nigrahagra hogra. It is a combination of anugraha and nigraha coming together. No other murti can bring these two opposites together. Bhagavan either is seen as one who is giving anugraha, or the one who is engaged in nigraha. Nigraha, reforming, keeping restraints. Anugraha, bountifully giving blessings. Bring both of them together. And such was the vigraha there. Vyaptim cha bhuteshu akileshu chatmanaha. Adrishyata atyatputa rupam udvahatyatputa rupam. The rupam was so very beautiful. Nrsimha vapuhu Щৰীষ্টrīmad Keshavaha Purushottamaha. He is Nrsimha vapuhu Щৰীষ্টrīmad. He is Keshavaha. Now why he is Keshava? Now when Bhagavan appeared out of the pillar, there was no time for him to do all the hairdo. His hair, his kesha was flowing all over. He just emerged with all fury. The hair was flowing and glowing. Therefore, he is Keshavaha, one who has lovely locks of hair which are glowing and flowing all over. Nrsimha vapuhu Щৰীষ্টrīmad. Therefore, he has to be Щৰীষ্টrīmad. He is Saundarya Lavanya Atimanohara Divya Rupa. He is the beauty personified, and such was his form. Adrishyata atyadbhuta rupam udvahan sthambe sabhayam namrigam namanusham. Namrigam namanusham. Nobody expected this form. Nobody expected how a form can be like this, never seen before. And it was neither a mriga nor a manusha, and it was a unique form. Nara, Simha, Nrsimha. Now immediately we ask, Bhagavan's cheshtitas are not to be analyzed because he is beyond our analysis. But still, our own buddhi sometimes keeps asking, why this? Why this? I need answers. As though by getting an answer, we will immediately transform. 100 questions we'll ask, why? And after getting all the answers, let me see. He is beyond our analysis. He is beyond our finite capabilities. But Bhagavatam gives us the cues to relish this avatara. We have to go back to those two statements earlier, which Hiranyakashipu made. What did Hiranyakashipu say? Shirahkaya dharamite gopayeta haristvadaya. I'm going to cut, hey Prahlada, your head. Bhagavan noting. So you're going to cut my bhakta's head away. Now I have an idea as to what form I should take. I know that I should have a different head and a different body. Bhagavan is already making his calculations now, as Hiranyakashipu is talking. So he says, Shirakaya dharamite. And then he says, Gopayeta haristvadeya. Let me see how your Hari is going to protect you. Unfortunately, Hiranyakashipu did not realize he was referring to Hari, Sri Hari, Narayana. Bhagavan immediately noted, Hari also means lion. Hari also means a lion. And anyway, Bhagavan is Vaikuntha Kanthiravaha. He puts both of these statements together. You thought you will cut Prahalada's, Bhakta Prahalada's head away and take it away. Now I am going to come with a head that you wanted. Hari, you wanted Hari? I am here in a hurry. And Nrsimha AvirbhAva. That is how Bhagavan instantaneously, then and there, everybody is wondering what form Bhagavan is going to take. Because everybody knows he cannot break the promise of Brahma. Brahma was also shuddering. What kind of form is going to take? Neither man, nor lion, nor animal. It has to be not a living entity, non-living entity. He is also going through all his sticks, saying, whether any of these sticks will be broken by Bhagavan. But he is Aghatita Ghatana Samatya he has. So therefore, here he takes such a Adyatputa Rupa, Sthambe Sabhayan Namurgham Manusham. Vedanta Desika in his Dashavatara Stotra beautifully writes, Pratyadishta Puratana Gramaha Kshanam Panijaihi Avyatrini Jaganti Akunta Mahima Vaikunta Kantiravaha Yat Pradurbhavanat Avanta Jatara Yadrichika Vedasam Yaka Chitsakasa Mahasura Grihastuna Pitamahya Bhut. He says. Sometimes we need to go back to how our acharyas have relished this avatara. Several acharyas have relished Nrsimha avatara in several different ways. Vedanta Desika relishes him in a very, very beautiful way. He says, Avyat Trini Jaganti Akunta Mahima Vaikunta Kanthiravaha. He is Vaikunta Kanthirava. Therefore, there is no surprise that he will take a lion form. He is already a lion. He is Vaikunta Simha. He is only becoming an Nrsimha, the one who controls all the lokas. Trini Jaganti Akunta Mahima, the one who has limitless glories. What did he do? Pratyadishta Puratana Praharana Gramaha Kshanam Panijaihi. Immediately, as Nrsimha was taking a sankalpa to appear, as the Avirbhava was about to happen, it seems immediately Sudarshana Chakra, started getting active, said, now I have a big role to do. Immediately Bhagavan looked at Sudarshana Chakra and said, wait, in this avatara you have no role. You are only a substitute. He made a Pratyadishta Puratana Praharana Gramaha. All his ayudas, all his panchayudas, which are always one with him, he said, wait, this avatara, I cannot use any of you. Therefore, all the ayudas were asked to simply witness, not participate. Puratana Praharana Gramaha. But then immediately, Sudarshana asked Bhagavan, then how are you going to then vanquish Hiranyakashipu? Don't worry. Shana Pani Jaihi. Pani Jaihi. Pani Jaihi. Pani, hand, fingers. Jaihi, that which grows. Now nails grow here. The beauty of the nails is they grow, so they can be considered living. They can also be cut without we even feeling the hurt. So they are also considered dead. So nails are neither living nor dead. One boon ticked straight away. Pratyadishta Puratana Praharana Gramaha Kshanam Panijaihi Avyatrini Jaganti Akunta Mahima Vaikunta Kanthiravaha. That Vaikunta Kanthirava, what did he do? Yat Pradurbhavanat Avandya Jatara Yadrichika Vedasam. Yadrichika, this happened so very suddenly, nobody was prepared for this avatara. None, including Prahalada, because Prahalada also did not ask for Narayana to come. So including Prahalada, nobody was prepared. So Prahalada was pleasantly shocked. Hiranyakashipu was unpleasantly shocked. That's the only difference. Yadrichika Vedasam Yakachit Sahasa. Sahasa means instantaneously. It happened. As Hiranyakashipu hit the pillar with his fist, then and there, with not even a lag of a nanosecond. Avandhya Jatara, yat Pradurbhavanat Avandhya Jatara Yadrichika Vedasam Yakachit Sahasa Mahasura Grihastuna, that pillar which was hit, from which the Avirbhava happened, it seems that pillar immediately then and there, it was relieved of its infertility, because it is now giving birth. So it was relieved of its infertility at pradurbhavanat avandhya jatara yadrichika vedasam yakachit sahasa mahasura grihastuna pitamahyabhut. Immediately the acharya prostrates to the pillar, says, you are the grandmother of Brahma, he says. How blessed you are Brahma's grandmother. How can the pillar become Brahma's grandmother? Because the pillar gave birth to Narayana, who is Brahma's father. So therefore, Brahma became grandmother and he now took birth. Therefore, Pitamahyabhut, he says. Nrsimha, immediately as he appeared, Hiranyakashipu foolishly then started to attack him. The foolish Hiranyakashipu thought for a moment that somehow he can get away. Just like a small insect being dragged by fire, Hiranyakashipu was dragged towards him. Now, every line that happens, we need to now make note. This is payback time. Whatever Prahalada was meted out, Hiranyakashipu would receive the same. Just like how a snake is captured by Garuda, Hiranyakashipu was caught by Narayana, by Nrsimha, so very effortlessly. You brought a snake to poison my bhakta, I will make you a snake. He lifts him, puts him on his lap. Nrsimha puts Hiranyakashipu on his lap. Why on his lap? Prahalada's journey of torture started from Hiranyakashipu's lap. Hiranyakashipu threw Prahalada away from his lap. That was the first Bhagavata apachara. No, the Garuda Purana talks about the punishments that are meted out to every apachara. And there are several things listed out for Bhagavata apachara. Here we see during Nrsimha Avatara how Bhagavata apachara will not be tolerated. It is payback time for Hiranyakashipu. So this is how this avatara demonstrates divine justice. And divine justice happens in such a way that no force can stop it from happening. And that is the reason why he takes such a furious form in order to deliver this justice. Nrsimha effortlessly places Hiranyakashipu on his lap. Now, it is time of twilight, neither day nor night. He goes and sits exactly on the doorway, neither outside nor inside. Nrsimha has no divine ayudas, no weapons that are going to be used. Obviously, Nrsimha is not someone created by Brahma or is someone created by anyone. He is neither a Manusha, nor a Mriga, nor any Devata, no living being. So every kind, and he is going to use not a ayudha but his nails, which again are neither living nor dead. Again, Brahma is so happy. You are Satyam Nijavritya Bhashita, Nrsimha is sticking all, and Nrsimha then placing Hiranyakashipu on his lap with his nails, he tears him. We need to remember how Prahalada's body was pierced with all kinds of weapons. Now, payback time for Hiranyakashipu. And as he tears Hiranyakashipu away, Nrsimha pulls out his intestines and wears them as his garland. And Shuka says, he sits there majestically as a lion which has just killed an elephant. Again, going back to how Prahalada was tortured, throwing him under the feet of an elephant here. Now, all of us may think, why? What is happening here? We need to know, Bhagavan does not do anything. Anything that he does is not trivial. Everything that he does is so very significant. The rupa that he assumes is so very significant. The time he assumes is so very significant. The place where he manifests is so very significant. Whatever he uses, the instruments is so very significant. We see all of this. Now, once again, with a caveat, we should not attempt to analyze Bhagavan's Cheshtitas. But still, some may question, why did Nrsimha tear Hiranyakashipu and pull out his intestines and wore them as garland? Why did he do it? Why did he do it? Our Shastras say, Pitta dosha. Pitta dosha is responsible for both physiological and psychological functions. Vata, Kapha, Pitta. Pitta is responsible for both physiological. What are the physiological functions? Digestion, assimilation, supplying nutrients to all the rest of the body. This is the function of Pitta. Pitta is also responsible for psychological functions, intelligence, comprehension, ability to understand, ability to analyze. These are also determined by Pitta. Now, what happens when there is an imbalance of Pitta? When there is an imbalance of Pitta, then there is a rise of anger, there is a rise of hatred, there is a rise of jealousy. Now, what Pitta has to do with all of this that has happened? Interestingly, what is the seat of Pitta in the human body? Intestines. The seat of Pitta dosha is intestines. Now, somebody immediately may say, all these are old Shastras. Today's science also talks about the connection between the gut and the brain. Science talks about the interlinking between the gut and the brain, and it is a proven scientific fact that when there is intestinal dysfunction, one goes emotionally mad. There are researchers in Harvard who are also engaged in doing this research of connection between the gut and the brain. So when the intestines don't function properly, which means there is an imbalance in Pitta dosha, and which will result in Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madha, Matsaryas, all kinds of impurities. So what did Nrsimha do? Pull out, uproot the very source of turmoil within Hiranyakashipu. By uprooting the intestines, Nrsimha is uprooting the very source of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madha, Matsarya. Also, we all know that Bhagavan is Vaishwanara. He is the digestive fire. We all chant this, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritam. Now, whatever we eat, it is Bhagavan as the digestive fire, in the form of digestive fire. He manifests as digestive fire, as Vaishwanara Agni, and he purifies everything that we consume, not only food, even psychological, every kind of stimuli that enters the body, every input that goes in is purified by the digestive fire. It is this digestive fire, Vaishwanara, who breaks down the purities and the impurities in the body. And when there is excess of impurities of food that is taken into, it is the digestive fire which burns them. Now, when the impurities become too much in excess, this Vaishwanara Agni becomes the Agni called Nrsimha. When the entire body becomes the very epitome of everything that is evil, it has to be burned. Therefore, Nrsimha burns the whole body of evil, which has gone beyond any redemption. A critical point has come where Hiranyakashipu has to face his brutal death, and Nrsimha conveys majestically that message that adharma can temporarily rise, but eventually balance and harmony will be established, even if it means he has to intervene. Thus, Nrsimha ensures that Hiranyakashipu is killed then and there, eliminated. And as we see, Bhagavan eliminating Hiranyakashipu is essentially a culmination of the elimination that Hiranyakashipu would face as a result of the consequences of his own Papa Karma. And Bhagavan is roaring. Nrsimha is roaring. Is roaring because he has completed such a mammoth task, and he was furious too. And that is the reason why Shastras call him Ugra Nrsimha, Ugram Veeram Mahavishnum Jvalantam Sarvatomukam Nrsimham Bhishanam Bhadram Mrutyur Namamyaham. But Ugra Nrsimha cannot be translated as angry God. Unfortunately, in many English books, be it comics or be it even in so-called translations, Nrsimha, the angry God. What kind of a travesty is this? Ugra has nothing to do with anger. Because our anger, as we understand, cannot be associated with Bhagavan at all. Yasmat swamahimna sarvan kaman sarvan devan sarvan lokani udgranati ajasram srijati visrijati vivasayati udgrahyate tuhi shrutam gatta sadam yuvanam mriganna bhimam upahatnu mugram tasmad uchyate ugramiti. The Shastras give a definition of what is Ugram. Ugra is that force which is responsible for dissolution, maintenance and creation too. Upahatnu mugram, the heat generated that destroys everything that is evil. And that is Ugra. That is Ugra which destroys. And that is the reason why in the Mantra Rajapada Stotra, it is beautifully described why he is Ugra. The definition for Ugratva, Bhagavan is beautifully written. Vruttotpulla visalaksham vipaksha kshayadikshitam ninada trasta vishwandam vishnum ugram namamyaham. Why he is Ugra? We need to understand this, because sometimes people ask, Nrsimha is an angry God, can I go near him? No, you can not only go near him, you can go and embrace him. He is not at all an angry God. He is an embodiment of compassion. He is a Bhakta Vatsala. And what is this Ugratva? Vruttotpulla visalaksham. Vruttotpulla visalaksham. It says his eyes, Vruttotpullaha visalakshaha. Not just ordinary lotus eyes. Broad, wide, bewitchingly beautiful. So broad and wide that they touch the very corners of his ears. And so broad and beautiful, bewitchingly beautiful eyes. Vruttotpulla visalaksham. What does it mean to us? Those eyes are the source of reciprocation. For those who are virtuous, they are the source of joy. They are the source of sustenance, the source of nutrition. Those who are vicious, the same eyes, they confront their own deeds and they confront the consequences. The eyes become a mirror of their own misdeeds. To the vicious, Bhagavan, with his broad, bewitchingly beautiful eyes, is showering grace. At the same time, he can also pierce through the layers of Prakriti and he can go to the core, the truth of every action and the intention behind every action. Which means, to a Bhakta, it is so very pleasing, so very comforting, because the Bhakta knows Bhagavan is able to see the intention behind whatever is doing. The love for him is seen by Bhagavan. Even if I'm incapable of doing many things, even if I do ordinary deeds, the love is seen by Bhagavan. He can see through. At the same time, it is discomforting for those who are vicious, because he can pierce through and see the core of the intentions behind every deed. It constantly reminds them of the eventual consequences that they have to catch up with very, very soon. Therefore, the same eyes, Vruttotpulla Visalaksha, Vipaksha Kshayadikshitam. Vipaksha Kshaya. Vipaksha, those who are on the opposite side of Dharma. Kshaya, they are eliminated. As I said, those who are aligned with Dharma are elevated by Bhagavan. Those who are misaligned with Dharma are eliminated by themselves. So the long rope is given by Bhagavan. To fall in the noose is one's own choice. Bhagavan doesn't put a noose around anybody. It is one facing the consequences of one's own bad deeds. Bhagavan does not intervene there. Where he intervenes to elevate those who are virtuous. To a bhakta, he intervenes. He ensures that the bhakta is elevated, is protected. Ruttotpulla visalaksham vipaksha kshayadikshitam ninada trasta vishwandham. Is Ugra because ninada trasta vishwandham. The entire Vishwa was shaking with that glorious sound, glorious roar. So Bhagavan roars. Why he roars? Garjantam, garjayantam. When he roars, we are inspired to roar back. Our roaring is chanting his Divya Namas. He roars to inspire us to chant his Divya Namas. And therefore, this roar of Bhagavan, which shakes everyone, to those who are vicious, it gives them all kinds of fear. To those who are virtuous, they have, listening to this roar, they have horripilations all over. Ninada trasta vishwandam, Vishnu ugram namamyaham. He is ugram, he is bhishanam. Bhishana is also another nama that we need to very clearly understand. Why is bhishanam? Bhishanam means one who instills fear, terrifies. Bhagavan removes fear. Does he also instill fear? There is two kinds of fears, unhealthy fear and healthy fear. Healthy fear is very much needed. What is healthy fear? If I break the law, I will face a consequence. That which evokes a sense of responsibility and accountability is healthy fear. We cannot walk on Sheikh Zayed Road and say I am fearless. I have to abide by the rules of the law. Just if I cross the road, I get hit. I have to face the consequence. So the fear of not crossing the road is a healthy fear that is needed. His Bhishana invokes that healthy fear. That healthy fear which ensures that one complies with the code of conduct for right living, and one is always watchful that one may break the code of conduct for right living. That Bhishana. So therefore he is Ugram, he is Veeram, he is obviously the most courageous, he is Mahavishnu, who is all pervading. Wherever we want, whenever we want, whatever time we want, he is there for us. Prahalada did not even call and he was there. If we call, will he not be there? He is there where we want, when we want, because he is there everywhere and he will manifest the way that we need to protect us all the time. Ugram, Veeram, Mahavishnu, Jwalantam. Thousands of suns put together, resplendence, very epitome of resplendence. Sarvato Mukam. He is all seeing, constantly watching out so that whenever we need his intervention, he is there. He keeps intervening all the time when we need it. We don't need it, he keeps witnessing. It's up to us whether we connect and get him to do our jobs. The art of delegation is something which we all need to learn. Bhakti in many ways is learning the art and science of delegation. One of the best arts in any organization is delegating to your boss. A successful employee is one who delegates to his boss. We all can be very successful when we delegate to the boss of all bosses. That is Bhakti. Sarvadrik Simha is Simha, is Sundara Simha, is Adbhuta Simha, is Nrsimha. That's Simha. Sarvato Mukam Nrsimham Bhishanam. He is Bhishana, but he is also Bhadram. He is the very embodiment of auspiciousness because Shri is always there with him, ensuring that he is always a balance of compassion and fury all the time. He is Bhadram. He is auspiciousness personified. Ugram, Veeram, Mahavishnu, Jwalantam, Sarvatomukam, Nrsimham, Bhishanam, Bhadram, Mrutyur Nama. He is Mrutyu's Mrutyu. He is Hiranyakashipu's Mrutyu. He is the Mrutyu of our Mrutyu. He makes us fearless. He makes us deathless. He ensures that we attain him and he takes the responsibility. This is the beauty. Hiranyakashipu Vada is completed. All devatas have now assembled. Brahma begins to praise Nrsimha. Shiva begins to praise Nrsimha. Indra, all the devatas are there. Yakshas, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, Gandharvas, Nagas, from all the lokas, all the living beings, all have gathered and started to pray. But then Bhagavan is still continuing to roar. Gajjantam, Gajjayantam, Nijavshapatalam, Spotayantam, Antam. All have some kind of reservation to go near him. Because he is still so very majestic, and that roar, apurva, unheard of. Everyone is looking at each other. They're all praising him, but they all also want to have a conversation with him. Nobody is ready to go. Everyone is looking at everybody else. Who is going to take the first step? Then Brahma looks at Sri Mahalakshmi. It is your turn. It is your Vaikunta Kanthirava. That Vaikunta Simha as Narasimha. You know what Mahalakshmi does? He says, wait. He says, let Prahalada go. Immediately we ask, is Sri Mahalakshmi too afraid of approaching Nrsimha? Obviously not. She is always with the Vaikunta Simha. Why should she even have any fear of this Narasimha? Then Mahalakshmi is Karunamayi. She is the very embodiment of compassion. And she also knows what is Manoratha of Nrsimha. She knows Nrsimha is not in need of Amrita. The Amrita of all Amrita is like Mahalakshmi. He is not in need of Amrita now. He needs the Panaka of Prahlada Bhakti. Let's give him Panaka. And she says, Prahlada, unless and until he sees Prahlada, his fury is not going to come down. And therefore, Prahlada steps forward. As Prahlada steps forward, there is that beautiful, electrifying smile on Nrsimha's face. He is Sundara Simha. Nrsimha AvirbhAva Keshavaha Purushottamaha. That resplendence turns into an electrifying smile, and looking at Prahlada, Nrsimha is so very ecstatic. We always talk about bhaktas being ecstatic. Looking at Bhagavan, here it is the contrary. Bhagavan is so very ecstatic. Hey Prahlada, you are safe, you are sound. I am so very happy. And Nrsimha gently places his divine hasta, divya hasta, on Prahlada's head. Aho Bhagyam, what a divine moment. The Prahlada's entire life, is the whole mission of his life comes to a fruition then and there with the divine touch of that Sundara Simha. Time stands still. Let us continue to relish this wonderful moment where the Paramabhakta Bhagavatottama has come together with Bhagavan, and together let us continue to contemplate on Prahlada Vallabha, Sri Lakshmi Nrsimha, Ugram Veeram Mahavishtum Jwalantam Sarvato Mukham Nrsimham Bhishanam Bhadram Mrityor Mrityur Nama. Jai Nrsimha. Sarvam Sri Krishnarpanam.